At 3:17 that Saturday afternoon, 22 chairs around my dining table were still empty. At 3:21, my phone showed me exactly where my family had gone. My parents were raising champagne glasses inside my younger brother Tyler's downtown loft. My aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandmother were crowded behind him beneath a banner that read, "Congratulations, homeowner." Tyler had not purchased a home. He had signed a 1-year lease 12 days earlier. Every person smiling beside him had already promised to attend my housewarming. Then my mother's text appeared. "You had friends with you. Tyler would have had nobody. Please don't make him feel guilty." I had spent 8 years earning my house. My family spent one afternoon pretending my brother had done the same. My name is Natalie Hayes, and I was 35 years old when 22 empty chairs finally taught me the difference between relatives and family. The house stood on Maple Street in a quiet neighborhood outside Dayton, Ohio. It was a 2-story brick home built in 1948 with an aging furnace, narrow closets, uneven oak floors, and a kitchen that looked as though no one had updated it since microwave ovens became popular. There was no pool, no enormous master suite, no marble island the size of a small boat. The front porch leaned slightly toward the driveway. The bathroom tiles were cracked. The backyard was mostly weeds and broken patio stones, but the house had arched doorways, solid walls, built-in bookshelves, and an enormous maple tree that turned the front yard gold every October. More importantly, it was mine. For almost 9 years, I had worked as an operations coordinator at a regional medical center. My job involved scheduling staff tracking equipment, calming frustrated nurses, and explaining to administrators why a broken sterilizer could not be repaired by thinking creatively. It was steady work, not exciting but honest. I lived carefully. I drove the same silver Honda for 11 years. I packed lunch instead of buying it. I rented a small apartment above a dental office where the smell of disinfectant drifted through the vents every weekday morning. Whenever another coordinator needed a weekend off, I covered the shift. At night, I built scheduling spreadsheets for small businesses and clinics. I saved overtime checks, tax refunds, birthday money, and every small bonus the hospital gave me. My younger brother Tyler lived differently. At 31, he had quit community college twice, left 5 jobs, and launched 3 businesses. His custom sneaker company ended when customers began asking why their orders never arrived. Our parents helped him purchase a barbecue trailer, which he sold 6 weeks later, because waking up before sunrise was killing his passion. Then came an online consulting business, although no one could explain what Tyler was consulting about. My parents called him ambitious. They called me rigid. When Tyler quit a job because his manager criticized him, my mother said he was protecting his mental health. When I worked through a holiday weekend because the hospital was short-staffed, she asked why I was always trying so hard to impress people. When Tyler needed money, he was finding his path. When I saved money, I was obsessed with control. I had spent most of my life pretending the difference did not hurt. Then I bought the house on Maple Street. The listing photographs made it look worse than it was, which was probably why I had a chance. The kitchen cabinets were coated in thick yellow paint. The upstairs hallway smelled faintly of old carpet. One corner of the basement collected water whenever it rained. But during the first tour, I stood beneath the living room archway and imagined the wood floors restored, the shelves filled with books, and warm light coming through clean windows. The house had been neglected. It had not been ruined. Maybe that was why I understood it. I made an offer. It was accepted 3 days later. I signed the final papers on a rainy Thursday morning with my real estate agent and a tired title company employee as my only witnesses. My parents had promised to come. That morning, my father called and said Tyler needed help moving a couch into his girlfriend's apartment. The girlfriend ended the relationship before I finished unpacking. For the next 10 months, I spent almost every free hour working on the house. My best friend, Leah Morgan, helped me pull stained carpet from the stairs. My coworker, Marcus, taught me how to replace damaged baseboards. Elena from the billing department spent 2 Sundays helping me repaint the kitchen cabinets a soft sage green. Mrs. Josephine Caldwell, my 79-year-old neighbor, supervised almost everything from a folding chair near the driveway. She had lived next door for 43 years and knew every weakness of the house. That back corner leaks in heavy rain, she warned during my first week. The inspector mentioned it. Inspectors mention things. Neighbors remember them. She also knew every family on the street, which children sold the best Girl Scout cookies, and which previous owner had buried a ceramic frog beneath the rose bushes. Whenever Marcus reached for a saw, Mrs. Caldwell called out, "Measure again." "I already measured twice," he once said. "Then protect your pride and measure a third time." My own family never came to help. My father promised several Saturdays, but something always happened. Tyler's car needed repairs. Tyler needed help completing an application. Tyler was discouraged. Tyler had an opportunity. My mother visited once before the renovations were finished. She remained in the kitchen for less than 15 minutes. "You paid how much for this?" she asked. I told her. She sighed. "It seems expensive for an old house in this neighborhood. It's a safe neighborhood. It might become one." She noticed paint on my jeans. "Why didn't you hire professionals?" "I'm trying to stay within budget." "You always make things harder than they need to be." That was the only time she stepped inside before the housewarming. Still, I wanted my family to see the finished house. More honestly, I wanted them to see me. 6 weeks before the celebration, I mailed invitations to 22 relatives. I also posted the details in the family group chat, so no one could claim that an envelope had disappeared. Saturday, October 14th. Lunch at 2. Come celebrate Natalie's first home. The responses arrived quickly. My mother sent 3 red heart emojis. My father wrote, "Wouldn't miss it." Aunt Denise offered to bring potato salad. My cousin Brooke asked whether she could arrive early for a private tour. Tyler responded with a thumbs up. "Proud of you, sis." I saved that message. For 4 weeks, I planned the gathering. I borrowed folding tables from the hospital's community outreach office. I bought simple white tablecloths and arranged them through the dining room and enclosed porch. I polished the old silver serving dishes Mrs. Caldwell had given me after cleaning out her attic. I cooked pulled pork, baked macaroni and cheese, roasted vegetables, and 2 trays of cornbread. My father loved pecan pie, so I made one from scratch after ruining the first crust. My mother preferred white wine. Aunt Denise drank only sweet tea. Uncle Ray complained whenever food was not hot enough, so I borrowed warming trays. It was humiliating how well I remembered the preferences of people who rarely remembered mine. Leah arrived at 8 that morning wearing leggings and an old college sweatshirt. She opened my refrigerator and stared. "You have enough food for a church fundraiser. My family eats a lot." "Your family criticizes a lot. That is not the same thing." "They are coming." "I know." Her voice softened. "I'm only saying that this house was worth celebrating before they agreed to look at it." I adjusted one of the blue ceramic vases on the table. "Mom thinks I made a bad investment. Dad still hasn't seen the finished kitchen. I want them to understand why this mattered to me." Leah stopped folding napkins. "Natalie, people who want to understand you usually don't need 22 place settings. It's lunch, not a cry for help. It can be both." I laughed, but the sound came out thin. At 1:38, my mother texted, "Running behind. Start without us." At 2, Leah and I were standing near the front window watching the street. At 2:10, Marcus and Elena arrived with wine and a toolbox because Marcus believed no homeowner should host a party without someone prepared to fix a loose doorknob. At 2:17, Mrs. Caldwell walked over carrying a warm apple cake. At 2:25, my supervisor Diane arrived with her husband. At 2:41, my college friend Sam showed up after driving almost an hour. No relatives came. At 3, I called my father. Voicemail. I called my mother. Voicemail. I called Tyler. The phone rang twice before he rejected the call. At 3:15, the food had begun drying around the edges. Leah found me rearranging serving spoons. "You have checked the driveway 9 times. They might be parking farther down." "They aren't." My phone began vibrating on the counter. For one foolish second, hope surged through me. Then I saw the social media notifications. My cousin Brooke had tagged our family in a photograph. They were standing inside a renovated loft with exposed brick walls, dark cabinets, and tall windows overlooking downtown Dayton. Tyler stood in the center wearing a new navy blazer. My mother had one hand pressed proudly against his chest. My father held a champagne bottle. Above them hung the banner, "Congratulations, homeowner." I opened the next photograph. My grandmother was there. Aunt Denise was there without the potato salad she had promised to bring. Uncle Ray was raising a glass. Cousins who had told me they were excited to see my renovations were posing beside Tyler's rented fireplace. Then a video began playing. Tyler laughed as my father made a toast. We always knew Tyler would do something big when he found the right direction. Everyone applauded. A male voice behind the camera said, "This place is way better than buying some old fixer-upper in the suburbs." Several people laughed. My mother did not laugh. She did not defend me either. She simply lifted her glass. I called Aunt Denise. She answered on the 4th ring, speaking loudly over music. "Natalie." "Where are you?" "At my house." There was a pause. Right, of course. Why are all of you at Tyler's apartment? It's his housewarming. He rents that apartment. Well, he said he had gotten the place. That means he signed a lease. I don't know the details. My housewarming started more than an hour ago. I thought yours was postponed. Every part of me became still. Who told you that? Another pause. Your mother said something about changing plans. I never changed the date. The music faded as Aunt Denise moved somewhere quieter. She said you were having a smaller gathering with friends instead. My invitations went out 6 weeks ago. I'm sure there was confusion. There wasn't. Honey, Tyler only planned this recently. Your mother was worried no one would come because it was short notice. So she told everyone I postponed mine. I wouldn't say it like that. How would you say it? Aunt Denise exhaled. We're already downtown. Maybe you can stop by afterward. Bring Leah. There's plenty of food. I looked at my dining table. I have plenty of food. Please don't turn this into something ugly. You know Tyler needs encouragement. I ended the call. Then my mother's message appeared. You had friends with you. Tyler would have had nobody. You can survive disappointment. He can't. Please don't make him feel guilty. I read it 3 times. Not because I did not understand. Because I understood perfectly. Behind me, Mrs. Caldwell tapped a spoon against her glass. The room became quiet. She stood at the end of the table in a purple cardigan and the pearl necklace her late husband had given her on their 20th anniversary. I don't know the people who were supposed to occupy those chairs, she said. But I know something about absence. Everyone watched her. My husband served overseas when we were young. I spent holidays waiting for phone calls that did not come. Later, when he became ill, relatives disappeared because visiting made them uncomfortable. She looked directly at me. An empty chair can break your heart if you stare at it long enough. My throat tightened. So stop staring at those chairs. She lifted her glass. Look at the people sitting in the others. Leah raised hers first, then Marcus, then Elena, then every person who had arrived because they said they would. To Natalie, Mrs. Caldwell said, and to the home she built with her own hands. I tried to answer, but no words came. Leah touched my arm. You don't have to be okay yet. I swallowed and lifted my glass. To the people who showed up, that afternoon did not become the celebration I had imagined. It became something more honest. We ate until the food cooled and then reheated it. Marcus played music from his phone. Mrs. Caldwell told stories about the neighborhood. Diane's husband fixed the loose porch latch without being asked. Leah took photographs of me standing between the 7 people who had filled chairs. In every picture, my eyes were swollen, but I was smiling. The last guests left shortly after 8. Leah stayed to pack leftovers. You are coming to my apartment, she said. We have wine blankets and several terrible movies. I want to sleep here. Are you sure? I looked around the kitchen. The cabinets I had painted. The counters I had installed. The small crack beside the pantry that I kept meaning to repair. This is my home. The words hurt and strengthened me at the same time. The doorbell rang at 8:37. My mother stood on the porch. Carol Hayes, dressed as though she might unexpectedly meet someone important. Her blonde gray hair was smooth, her makeup perfect, and her cream-colored coat buttoned neatly at the waist. She looked past me into the house. Are you going to let me in? For the first time in my life, I considered whether my mother deserved access to my space. Then I stepped aside. She entered without thanking me and surveyed the living room. Her gaze moved across the refinished floors. Restored shelves, fireplace, and vintage light fixture Leah and I had installed after watching 3 instructional videos. It looks better than before, she said. Thank you. A little crowded. It's a living room. You could have arranged it to feel larger. Leah appeared in the kitchen doorway with her arms folded. My mother's mouth tightened. I assumed we could speak privately. Leah is helping me clean. Of course she is. The old reflex rose inside me. Soften my voice. Defend Leah. Reassure my mother. Make the situation easier for everyone except myself. Instead, I asked, why are you here? My mother placed her purse on the sofa. To discuss your behavior. My behavior? You ignored my calls. Denise said you were rude, and you never came to congratulate your brother. I stared at her. I was hosting the housewarming all of you agreed to attend. Plans change. You told everyone I postponed it. I told them you had friends coming and that Tyler's gathering was more urgent. You lied to them. I simplified the situation. You redirected my guests. They are family, Natalie. They are not your guests to control. They accepted my invitation. Tyler only had a few days to organize his party, because he chose the same date. He said it was the only day the loft was ready. He does not own the loft. My mother's expression hardened. He has a lease. That is not a purchase. He is building a life. So am I. You have a career, a house, and friends. You had 7 people here. Tyler would have had nobody. Her words landed harder in person. You abandoned me because you believed I was strong enough to survive it. Don't twist my words. That is exactly what you said. Tyler has been struggling. I have struggled too. You handle things better. Because I had to. My voice began shaking, but I did not lower it. When I graduated from college, Tyler had dropped out. So you skipped my department dinner to stay home with him. He was depressed. When I was promoted, you spent the whole evening discussing the job he had lost. He was embarrassed. When I had surgery, you visited for 20 minutes because Tyler needed help choosing a truck. It was more complicated than that. When I bought this house, Dad missed the closing because Tyler needed a couch moved. You remember every grievance. I remember the pattern. My mother's eyes narrowed. You've always competed with him. I worked for what I have. And you think that makes you better? No, you think his feelings matter more. He needs more support. And what do I need? She looked confused by the question. That hurt more than anger would have. You're independent, she said. I became independent because every time I needed you, Tyler needed you more. You don't need constant applause. I asked my family to come to lunch. You wanted everyone standing around praising your renovations. I wanted you to see the life I built. We can see it now. No. You came here to tell me I ruined Tyler's party by being hurt. My mother straightened. After everything we have done for you, what have you done for me? The question escaped before I could stop it. Name one dream of mine that you supported with the same enthusiasm you give every idea Tyler announces. That is an unfair question. It is only unfair because you cannot answer it. Her face changed, not with guilt, with outrage. I had broken the family rule. I had described what she did instead of apologizing for how it made me feel. You are being disrespectful. No, I am finally being direct. I am your mother, and this is my house. Leah remained silent behind me, but her presence kept me from shrinking. My mother reached for her purse. Your father will be extremely disappointed. I have survived his disappointment before. Natalie Elizabeth Hayes. You do not speak to me this way. I walked to the front door and opened it. I do now. She stared at me as though I had become a stranger. Maybe I had. Or maybe I had finally stopped pretending to be the daughter she preferred, quiet, useful, and grateful for whatever attention remained after Tyler was satisfied. You will regret this. I already regret too much. She stepped onto the porch. I closed the door. For several seconds, I stood with my hand pressed against the lock. My legs began trembling. Leah crossed the room and wrapped her arms around me. I feel horrible, I whispered. You did something difficult. I threw my mother out. You asked someone who insulted you in your own home to leave. She will tell everyone I attacked her. She probably will. That doesn't scare you. It scares me for you. It doesn't make you wrong. My father arrived the next morning carrying 2 coffees. Jim Hayes had spent 37 years working for the city water department. He believed in routine, maintained lawns, quiet neighborhoods, and avoiding conflict whenever possible. Avoiding conflict usually meant allowing my mother to decide whose pain mattered. He waited after ringing the bell. May I come in? I stepped aside. He handed me one of the coffees. Your usual. It had been my usual when I was 22. I had stopped drinking sweet vanilla coffee years earlier. Thank you. He looked around the living room. Your mother said it was small. It is 1,260 square feet. He nodded as though I had presented evidence. Could I see the rest? I gave him a tour. In the kitchen, he ran his hand across the butcher block counter. You installed this? Marcus helped me cut it. He stopped at the restored staircase railing. That used to wobble. It doesn't anymore. He studied the office guest bedroom, bathroom, and enclosed porch. In the backyard, he stood beside the raised garden beds. You built these. Mrs. Caldwell designed them. I did the work. He looked back at the house. This is impressive, Nat. The compliment landed in an old, hungry place inside me. I hated how much I wanted it. Then he cleared his throat. Your mother is extremely upset. The warmth disappeared. Of course she is. She said you humiliated her in front of Leah. She humiliated me in front of the entire family. She believes the situation has been blown out of proportion. She told everyone I postponed my party. My father looked toward the garden. I knew she had called people. So you knew. I knew Tyler was worried no one would come. You already knew everyone was free because they were coming here. He said nothing. You helped them take my guests. We thought you would have friends. I did. That does not mean, no, Dad? It does not make what you did acceptable. He exhaled. Perhaps everyone made mistakes. Number. He looked at me. Tyler chose my date. Mom lied. You went along with it. I cooked lunch. Natalie. Do not spread this evenly so no one has to take responsibility. His jaw tightened. You have always been stubborn. And Tyler has always been rescued. He has struggled. I have struggled too. I just did it quietly. My father shifted his weight. We're not getting younger. Families should not stay divided over one bad afternoon. This was not one afternoon. Your mother would like an apology. I'm not apologizing. There are consequences when families become estranged. Your mother and I worked hard. Someday what we leave behind, I do not want your money. He stopped speaking. I never bought this house because I expected an inheritance. I do not need to tolerate disrespect to remain in a will. That is not what I meant. It is what you hoped I would hear. Frustration flickered across his face, not fear that he might lose his daughter. Frustration that the usual leverage had failed. A car entered my driveway. Marcus stepped out carrying lumber for the porch railing. Elena climbed out with breakfast sandwiches. Mrs. Caldwell emerged from her house holding a measuring tape. My father watched them approach. You already have company. They are helping with the porch. Again, they like being here. Something moved across his face. Perhaps embarrassment. Perhaps recognition. He placed his untouched coffee on the porch post. I should go. At the bottom of the steps, he turned. This is not how families should treat each other. I know, I said. That is why I am changing how I allow mine to treat me. For the next week, my phone became a delivery system for other people's judgment. Aunt Denise wrote that my mother had cried for 2 days. Uncle Ray said life was too short to hold grudges. Brooke asked why I always needed to make family events uncomfortable. No one asked whether I was all right. No one apologized for missing my party. Then my cousin Emily sent screenshots from a separate family group chat. Emily had attended Tyler's party because her mother told her mine had been postponed. The screenshots showed exactly what had happened. 4 days before my party, my mother had written, Natalie has plenty of friends coming and says her gathering can be flexible. Tyler really needs the family around him Saturday. Please don't mention the change until she settles down. She tends to overreact when she thinks she is being compared to him. I had never said any of that. Beneath the message, relatives had responded with hearts and thumbs up signs. Tyler had written, Thanks, Mom. This means a lot. He knew. He had known the family was already gathering that day. He had not accidentally selected the same date. He had used my guest list to fill his apartment. More screenshots followed. My mother, Natalie, had coworkers there. She was not alone. Uncle Ray, she always makes things harder than necessary. Brooke, she acts like buying an old house makes her better than everyone. Tyler, I invited her to stop by. She chose to sulk. He had never invited me. I began typing a response in the main group chat. I wrote 3 paragraphs. Deleted them. Wrote 5 more. Deleted those too. Leah sat across from me at the kitchen table. Who are you trying to convince? Them. Do they seem confused? They have the facts wrong. They have the version they prefer. What am I supposed to do? Let them say anything. Tell the truth once if you need to. Then stop auditioning for people who benefit from misunderstanding you. The following Tuesday, I met Dr. Maya Reeves through the hospital's employee counseling program. Her office was above a pharmacy in a small medical plaza. The room had 2 armchairs, a bookshelf, and a machine that sounded like gentle rain. I told her about the housewarming. Then I told her about Tyler. I told her about being 13 and waiting backstage at a science competition, while my parents left because Tyler had forgotten his football uniform. I told her about my college graduation when my mother spent dinner discussing Tyler's latest breakup. I told her about the hospital award ceremony my parents missed because Tyler needed someone to retrieve his car from an impound lot. Dr. Reeves listened. When I finished, she asked, What happens when Tyler needs help? Everyone runs to him. And when you need help, they remind me I'm strong. I stared at the floor. I have carried myself. You have, she said. But being capable does not make you less deserving. The words hit me harder than I expected. For years, I had treated my independence as proof that I had never needed anyone. The truth was simpler. I had needed them. They had taught me not to ask. What would happen, Dr. Reeves asked, if you stopped trying to earn your place in a family that benefits from keeping you outside? I might lose them. Do you feel that you currently have them? I could not answer. That weekend, my house filled with noise. Leah organized what she called a finish the projects party. Marcus repaired the porch railing. Elena painted the downstairs bathroom. Sam installed shelves in my office. Mrs. Caldwell brought chili and supervised from the dining room. At some point, I realized I had gone almost 3 hours without checking my phone. No one demanded an apology. No one compared my house to Tyler's loft. No one told me my happiness needed to become smaller so someone else could feel successful. That evening, we ate chili from mismatched bowls while sitting on the floor because the dining chairs were covered with tools. Marcus lifted his spoon. This may be the best housewarming I've attended. It's a week late. No, Mrs. Caldwell said. The first one was for your expectations. This one is for your life. The Sunday dinners began almost accidentally. The following weekend, Leah stopped by with groceries. Marcus and Elena came to return a ladder. Mrs. Caldwell smelled chicken roasting and appeared with biscuits. A week later, Sam brought his guitar. Soon, dinner became a tradition. There were never 22 people, usually 6 or 8, but no chair waited for someone who had chosen to be elsewhere. 3 weeks after the housewarming, Tyler appeared at my door. He wore expensive sneakers, a fitted jacket, and the apologetic expression he used whenever he wanted something. Hey, Nat. I did not open the screen door. What are you doing here? I thought we should talk. About what? The family situation. He glanced toward Mrs. Caldwell's house. I let him inside. He walked through the living room slowly. This place turned out nice. Thank you. Mom made it sound rough. It was rough. Then I repaired it. He nodded toward the fireplace. Real wood. Yes. Probably worth something. Within 30 seconds, he had evaluated my home not as an accomplishment, but as a resource. He sat on the sofa. Things got out of control that weekend. You chose the date of my party. The loft was ready. You knew everyone was already invited here. He shrugged. That made it easier. The words stunned me. What? I knew people were free. Mom said they could stop by both places. She told them I postponed. I didn't tell her to say that. You thanked her. I thanked her for helping. You stood in a room full of people who had promised to be at my house. You had friends. He said it casually, as though my mother's cruelty had become an accepted family fact. You knew what you were taking from me. His face tightened. You always make everything emotional. You used my gathering to fill your apartment. I needed Madison to see that my family supported me. I had heard Madison's name before. She was an elementary school counselor. Tyler had been dating for several months. My mother had already described her as exactly the kind of woman who could inspire him to settle down. So the party was for her. She comes from a stable family. I wanted her to understand that I'm building something. You wanted her to think you bought the loft. I never said those exact words. You let Dad toast your home purchase. Why do you care about wording? Because wording is where you hide the truth. He leaned forward. Can we stop talking about the party I came because I have an opportunity? Of course he did. What kind? A mobile detailing business. High-end customers. Subscription model. I have a guy who knows the market. How much? Only $12,000 to start properly. Ask Mom and Dad. They're stretched right now. From paying for your apartment. That was temporary. They covered the deposit, furniture movers, and 3 months of rent. They believe in me, and you came here because you have equity now. The entitlement was so casual that it almost impressed me. I have a mortgage. You also have excellent credit. We could structure something. There is no we. His smile disappeared. You haven't heard the plan. I have heard several versions since you were 22. The product changes. The ending doesn't. You think you're better than me because you bought a house. No. I think I'm no longer responsible for rescuing you. I'm not asking for rescue. It's an investment. An investment you expect me to finance because Mom and Dad can't afford your next failure. He stood. You have the house. You have the career. What else do you need? One day being about me shouldn't have destroyed you. The sentence hurt because it revealed something deeper than selfishness. Tyler knew exactly what had happened. He simply believed I had enough achievements to absorb the loss. You've never seen me clearly, I said, but I finally see you. What is that supposed to mean? It means no. His face hardened. You're going to end up alone in this house. I looked toward the dining room. Blue vases sat on the table. Photographs from our project party rested against the wall, waiting to be framed. Mrs. Caldwell's casserole dish sat beside the sink. I'm less alone here than I ever was with all of you. He left without saying goodbye. 2 weeks later, I accepted my parents' invitation to Sunday dinner. Not because they had apologized. They had not. I went because I wanted to know whether honesty was possible. Before leaving, I wrote 3 boundaries in my phone. I would not discuss lending Tyler money. I would leave if anyone insulted my home. I would not remain longer than 90 minutes. Leah agreed to keep her phone nearby. My parents lived in a neat subdivision 15 minutes away. Their house had beige siding, trimmed hedges, matching porch chairs, and a welcome sign my mother changed every season. Inside, everything looked the same as it had for years. The hallway photograph showed Tyler playing football. Tyler holding a fishing rod, Tyler beside his first car, and Tyler wearing a cap at the community college orientation he never completed. There were 2 photographs of me, one from elementary school, one from a family vacation when I was 17. My mother hugged me stiffly. My father asked about traffic. Tyler was already at the table. For most of the meal, we discussed safe subjects: the weather, a neighbor's fence, the price of groceries. My mother asked about my job, but interrupted my answer to announce that Tyler had an interview for a management position. What happened to the detailing business, I asked. Tyler stared at his plate. The timing wasn't right. My father cleared his throat. Choosing not to proceed can be a sign of maturity. I almost admired how efficiently they could transform abandonment into achievement. Then my mother said, "Have you considered selling the Maple Street house while the market is still decent? It seems like a lot of work for one person." I enjoy the work. You could buy something newer and more practical, like Tyler's loft. Tyler rents his loft. The table became silent. My mother placed down her fork. We agreed not to revisit that. I didn't agree. Why must you embarrass him? I answered your comparison. You know what I meant? Yes. You meant his rented loft is more respectable than my house, because admitting otherwise would require you to acknowledge what happened. My father leaned forward. Natalie, we are trying to move ahead. Without telling the truth, Tyler pushed back his chair. This is exactly why no one wanted to go to her party. I looked at him. You chose my date because you knew the family was available. So you did it deliberately. Get over it. My mother turned toward me. Family forgives. I folded my napkin and placed it beside my plate. You keep asking me to forgive something none of you will admit happened. My father rose as I stood. Do not leave like this. I came to see whether honesty was possible. We invited you into our home, my mother said, and I appreciate dinner. I'm not staying to be punished for naming what happened. People will hear that you walked out. They usually hear your version anyway. My father followed me to the door. Family should be worth fighting for. I looked back at the dining room where my mother had already turned toward Tyler. Then someone besides me should finally fight for it. I drove home beneath a clear autumn sky. My hands did not shake. 3 months passed. Snow settled over Maple Street. The house creaked in the cold, and I learned which upstairs window needed extra insulation. Sunday dinners continued. Mrs. Caldwell taught us a card game whose rules changed whenever she began losing. Marcus brought his niece sometimes. Elena arrived with desserts from a bakery near her apartment. Leah kept a spare sweater in my guest bedroom. My contact with my family became limited. My father called occasionally awkward and careful. My mother sent formal messages about birthdays and family gatherings, but never mentioned my housewarming. Tyler said nothing. The silence felt less like punishment and more like room to breathe. Then Tyler announced his engagement. He and Madison had been dating for 4 months. The photograph appeared online on a Tuesday evening. Tyler stood beside her in a restaurant smiling broadly while Madison displayed a diamond ring. My mother's caption read, "Our family is growing. We could not have chosen a more wonderful woman for our son." My phone rang 20 minutes later. "Natalie," my mother said brightly. "Have you seen the news?" "I saw it. Isn't it wonderful? It's fast. When you know, you know. Congratulations to them. We're hosting an engagement dinner next month at Bellamy's. The entire family will be there." "Okay, this is an important occasion. I understand. You'll come. I'll decide when I see the invitation." Her voice sharpened. "Why do you need to decide?" "Because I check my schedule before committing." "This is your brother." "Yes. After all the tensions you created, attending would show that you're finally willing to put family first." "I didn't create the tension. I'm not having that argument again." "Then don't bring it up." I ended the call. An hour later, Aunt Denise messaged me. "Please don't punish Madison because you're angry with Tyler." A second message followed. "Your parents are paying for most of the dinner because Tyler is between opportunities. Perhaps you could cover the food as your gift." Even now, their first instinct was to convert my presence into a financial contribution. Leah sat beside me on the sofa. "How much do you think they want?" "Probably a few thousand. For an engagement dinner. My mother thinks appetizers become classy when they're expensive." "What are you going to say?" I opened Tyler's contact. "Congratulations to you and Madison. I wish you both happiness. Send the invitation when the plans are final." Nothing more. He replied several hours later with a thumbs up. 2 days afterward, an unfamiliar number called. "Is this Natalie?" "Yes." "This is Madison, Tyler's fiancée." I sat straighter. "Hello. I hope it's all right that I called. I got your number from his phone." What can I do for you? She hesitated. I would like to meet. Why? I've heard several versions of what happened at your housewarming. My grip tightened around the phone. From Tyler, your mother, and 2 cousins. None of the versions match. I said nothing. I also saw photographs of your house. You posted them the same weekend Tyler's family said he bought the loft. He rents it. I know that now. Her voice sounded tired. Tyler told me his parents misunderstood. Then your mother said it was a symbolic celebration. Yesterday she said you had postponed your party because you were jealous. I never postponed anything. I'm starting to understand that. Why are you asking me? Because whenever your name comes up, everyone becomes careful or cruel. I need to know what I'm marrying into. We met the following afternoon at a coffee shop near the library. Madison was already seated, turning a paper sleeve around her cup. She had kind brown eyes and looked more exhausted than happy. Thank you for coming. I want to be clear, I said. I'm not here to convince you to leave my brother. I understand. What do you want to know? She took a breath. Did Tyler knowingly schedule his party on the same date as yours? Yes. How do you know? He admitted he knew everyone was already available because they were invited to my house. Her face tightened. Did your mother tell relatives you postponed? Yes. Did Tyler know? I showed her the screenshot Emily had sent me. Madison read it once, then again. Her eyes stopped on Tyler's response. Thanks, Mom. This means a lot. He told me you were trying to sabotage the first important thing he had accomplished. I was setting a table in my own house. He said your parents gave both of you equal support. I almost laughed. Instead, I told her the truth. Not dramatically, not cruelly. I explained the business loans, rent payments, missed events, and years of excuses. When I finished, Madison looked down at her left hand. My father was like Tyler. I waited. Charming, full of plans. Everything was about the person he was going to become. My mother funded that future until there was nothing left. Does Tyler know? He knows enough to know I wouldn't tolerate it. That explained the lies. Are you sure about marrying him? I asked. Her smile was sad. Number. Before she left, she touched the ring. I paid for this on my credit card. I stared at her. Tyler said the jeweler offered better rewards on my account. He promised to transfer the money when a consulting payment arrived. Do you know who is paying him? He said the contract was confidential. I did not tell her there probably was no contract. She could already see it. That evening, my father appeared at my door carrying a cardboard box. He waited after ringing. May I come in? Yes. He placed the box on my dining table. I found these in the attic. Inside were photographs I had never seen. I was 6, holding a ribbon from a reading contest. I was 11, standing beside my grandfather's workbench with sawdust in my hair. I was 16, posing beside the used Honda I had purchased after working 2 summers at an ice cream shop. I lifted a photograph from my college graduation. My father stood beside me with one arm around my shoulders. You took these, most of them. Why weren't they at the family albums? Your mother usually chose what went in. He sat slowly. We failed you. The room became quiet. He did not say we all made mistakes. He did not ask me to understand Tyler. We expected you to be fine, he continued. Whenever Tyler had a crisis, we turned toward him. Whenever you succeeded, we treated it like evidence that you needed nothing. I did need you. I know. His voice cracked slightly. I knew your mother called relatives before the housewarming. I knew Tyler was using your date. I told myself you had friends and he didn't. I looked at him. You knew I could survive disappointment. Yes. That did not make it acceptable. Number. I touched the edge of the graduation photograph. Why are you telling me this now? Tyler called me yesterday. What did he want? $7,800. For what? To pay Madison's credit card bill before she saw the statement. My stomach turned. The ring. He nodded. He said a consulting payment had been delayed. There is no payment. Did you give him the money? Number. It was a small word. But it was the first time I could remember my father refusing to rescue him. Your mother is furious, he said. She believes the engagement will motivate him. Of course she does. She wants me to convince you to attend the dinner with a generous gift. Did you come to convince me? Number. The answer came immediately. I came to tell you not to let us use you again. For the first time, I saw my father not only as the passive parent who had failed to protect me, but as a man finally looking directly at the damage his silence had helped create. That did not repair anything, but it was true. When he stood to leave, he paused near the door. You built a beautiful home. Thank you. And I'm sorry I didn't see it when you needed me to. My mother arrived less than 2 hours later. She stepped inside the moment I opened the door. Your father has lost his mind. I assume you spoke to him. He is encouraging this ridiculous division. He apologized. For what? Supporting his son. For abandoning his daughter. Her face reddened. I will not stand here while you rewrite our family history. You've rewritten it for years. The engagement dinner is in 3 weeks. You will attend. You will be pleasant. You will not discuss Tyler's finances, his loft, or your house. I'll decide what I discuss. This is not about control. It is about loyalty. Loyalty to what? To family. You mean loyalty to the story where Tyler succeeds and I resent him. He has always struggled with your competitiveness. I was setting a table while he took my guests. You are still talking about that because you still have not apologized. She stepped closer. If you refuse to attend, do not expect to be included in future family events. The threat once would have terrified me. I would have imagined Christmas photographs without me birthdays. I learned about online cousins slowly forgetting to call. Then I remembered 22 empty chairs. Exclusion was not something that might happen. It had already happened while I was obeying every rule. You do not get to decide whether I have a family. I am your mother. That is a relationship. It is not ownership. Her mouth fell open. I will decide whether I attend. I will decide what I say. And I will decide when this conversation ends. You have become incredibly selfish. No, I've become unavailable for mistreatment. I opened the door. Her hands tightened around her purse. Tyler was right. You want him to fail. No, I wanted him to grow up. You kept making sure he never had to. Show some compassion. I did. For years. You turned it into access. She stepped onto the porch. I closed the door. This time my hands remained steady. The engagement dinner was held in the private room at Bellamy's, an Italian restaurant my parents used for birthdays and retirement parties. It had cream-colored walls, brass fixtures, burgundy carpet, and framed photographs of vineyards no one in our family had visited. Leah came with me. I wore a dark green dress and small gold earrings. Nothing designed to compete. Nothing chosen to disappear. The room became noticeably quieter when we entered. Aunt Denise stopped speaking halfway through a sentence. Uncle Ray stared into his drink. Brooke looked from me to my mother, waiting for instructions on how to react. Tyler stood beside the gift table. His smile faltered. He had clearly expected my empty chair to become another story about how difficult I was. Madison crossed the room and hugged me. I'm glad you came. My mother approached immediately. You made it. I said I would decide. Her gaze moved over Leah. I assumed this was a family event. Leah is my guest. She isn't family. Leah smiled pleasantly. That has never stopped me from showing up. My mother's expression tightened. My father approached and kissed my cheek. You look nice. Thank you. His eyes met mine briefly. He looked nervous, but he did not look away. 20 minutes later, while I stood near the appetizer table, my mother appeared beside me. She maintained a bright smile because relatives were watching. Listen carefully, she whispered. Do not mention Maple Street tonight. I'm not planning to make a speech. Do not discuss Tyler's loft. I won't lie if someone asks me. This is his evening. I know. Just once can you let him have something without turning it into a comparison. I haven't mentioned myself. Your presence creates tension. There it was. Even silent, I was the problem because the truth entered the room with me. Before I answered, Madison joined us. Natalie, would you help me with something? Of course. She guided me toward the hallway. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For not letting her pull you into it. I've had practice. Dinner began. My father welcomed everyone. My mother spoke about how naturally Madison had become part of the family. Aunt Denise cried while telling a story that had happened only 2 weeks earlier. Then Tyler stood with the champagne glass. He smiled at the room. This year has been unbelievable. A new home, a new career direction, and now the woman I'm going to spend my life with. Madison looked at him. My father lowered his eyes. Tyler continued. When I moved into my downtown property, I knew I was finally building the future I wanted. My cousin Emily frowned. Property, she whispered. I thought it was rented. Tyler heard her. It's basically a rent-to-own situation. It was not. My mother started clapping before anyone could ask another question. Tyler raised his glass toward Madison. And none of this would be possible without a woman who believes in me. Madison did not lift her glass. What career direction, she asked. The room became silent. Tyler laughed. We can talk about work later. You mentioned it now. His smile stiffened. I'm consulting. For whom? Several clients. Name one. My mother leaned toward her. Sweetheart, Tyler has several opportunities developing. Madison looked at her. Which opportunity is paying for my ring? A fork struck a plate somewhere near the end of the table. Tyler's face reddened. We discussed that privately. You told me a payment was arriving. It is. When? Soon. My father closed his eyes. Madison turned toward him. Mr. Hayes, did Tyler ask you for money to pay my credit card bill? Every head turned toward my father. My mother whispered, Jim, do not answer that. He looked at Madison. Yes. The room went completely still. Tyler placed his glass down. Dad, seriously, you told me there was no consulting payment. That isn't what I said. It is exactly what you said. Tyler pointed at me. This is Natalie's influence. I had not spoken. I told you she would do this, he continued. She cannot stand seeing me happy. Madison stared at him. Natalie did not ask your father to tell the truth. She filled your head with lies. She showed me one message. My mother's face changed. What message? Madison looked at me. I had not planned to expose anyone, but I had also promised myself I would no longer leave rooms while they rewrote my absence. I stood. My invitations were sent 6 weeks before Tyler's party. My mother gave a sharp laugh. Natalie, this is neither the time nor place. You told the family I postponed. I said your plans were flexible. They weren't. You had coworkers attending. That did not give you permission to erase the invitation. Tyler shook his head. She's twisting everything. I looked at him. You knew Mom had redirected the family. No, I didn't. Emily spoke from the other end of the table. Yes, you did. Everyone turned toward her. She held up her phone. You thanked Aunt Carol in the chat. Tyler's face lost color. My mother stood. Emily put that away. Emily did not. She read aloud. Thanks, Mom. This means a lot. Aunt Denise stared at her plate. Uncle Ray shifted uncomfortably. My mother's voice became sharp. Natalie had friends there. Tyler would have had nobody. There was no softness left in the room to hide behind. I looked at her. You abandoned me because you believed I was strong enough to survive it. You survived. The answer came immediately. A small sound escaped Madison. Not surprise. Disgust. I felt the old wound open, but this time I did not shrink around it. I did survive, I said. That does not make what you did loving. My mother looked around the room. We were supporting a struggling family member. No, my father said. She turned toward him. Jim. He stood slowly. We protected Tyler from the consequences of his own choices, and we used Natalie's strength as an excuse to neglect her. My mother stared at him. Sit down. He remained standing. We knew about her housewarming. We knew Tyler chose the same date. We told relatives that Natalie's plans had changed because we wanted the room at his loft to look full. Aunt Denise covered her mouth. Brooke whispered. I thought Natalie agreed. I never agreed, I said. Tyler pushed back from the table. So what? It was a party. She had people there. His mask had finally disappeared. You had the house, he said to me. You had the career. You had everything. I needed one day. You didn't need one day. I looked directly at him. You needed my achievement to become invisible so your lie could look real. You've always wanted me to fail. No, Tyler. I wanted a brother. My voice remained calm. What I got was someone who believed my life had to stay smaller so his could look bigger. Madison slowly removed her ring. Tyler noticed. Don't. She placed it on the table beside his champagne glass. You didn't buy a home, she said. You borrowed a story and made your sister pay for it. Madison, you are overreacting. No. I think I have been underreacting for 4 months. My mother moved toward her. Every couple has misunderstandings. This isn't a misunderstanding. Madison picked up her purse. It's an entire family protecting one man from reality. That is incredibly disrespectful. So is asking your daughter to disappear every time your son lies. No one moved as Madison walked toward the exit. Tyler turned on me. You did this. I picked up my bag. I didn't charge the ring to her credit card. He stepped closer. I didn't tell the family my party was postponed. Natalie, I didn't force you to build your life out of my empty chairs. His face twisted with anger. You think you won? I looked at the room. My mother stood frozen beside the table. My father looked older than he had an hour earlier. Relatives who had repeated lies about me could no longer meet my eyes. Madison's ring sat beneath the chandelier, reflecting the light. I didn't come here to win. I looked back at Tyler. I came because I was tired of being erased. Then I turned toward my father. He looked at me. I'm sorry, he said. I know. It did not mean everything was repaired. It meant someone had finally named what was broken. Leah and I walked toward the door. Behind us, Tyler began arguing with our parents. Aunt Denise whispered urgently to Uncle Ray. My mother demanded that someone bring Madison back. The family drama continued without me. Outside, the night air was cool. Leah unlocked the car. How do you feel? I looked back at the restaurant windows. For years, I had imagined the moment when everyone finally understood what had been done to me. I thought it would feel like victory. Instead, it felt like putting down something heavy. Finished, I said. 1 year after my housewarming, autumn sunlight stretched across the same dining table. This time there were 10 place settings. Not 22. 10. Every chair would be filled. The house had changed. Photographs covered the shelves. Leah holding a paint roller above her head. Marcus laughing beside the repaired porch. Elena and Sam washing dishes after Sunday dinner. Mrs. Caldwell sitting in the garden surrounded by tomatoes she claimed were superior to every other tomato in Ohio. There was also a photograph of my father and me planting a lilac bush near the back fence. Our relationship was still careful. He visited for coffee once a month. Sometimes we discussed the past. Sometimes we sat on the porch and spoke about ordinary things. He never asked me to forgive my mother. He never defended Tyler. He had learned that an apology was not a key that automatically reopened every door. My mother had not visited. She still told relatives that I had turned my father against her. Tyler had moved into my parents' basement after losing the loft. According to Emily, he was developing a podcast about entrepreneurship. Madison returned the ring to the jeweler and used the refund to pay down her credit card. 6 months after ending the engagement, she sent me a photograph from a hiking trip. Peace felt strange at first, she wrote. Now it feels like mine. I understood. The doorbell rang. Leah entered carrying wine. Marcus brought rolls. Elena carried salad. Sam arrived with his guitar. My father appeared, holding a bag of garden soil, even though I had specifically told him not to bring anything. Mrs. Caldwell came last, walking slowly with a cane after knee surgery. You started without me, she demanded from the porch. We would never dare. Good. I trained you properly. At dinner, the room filled with overlapping conversation. No one asked me to make myself smaller. No one needed my failure to make their success look real. No one treated their presence as a favor. After dessert, Mrs. Caldwell tapped her glass with a spoon. Marcus sighed. Another speech. I'm old. I have earned unlimited speeches. Everyone quieted. She looked at me. A year ago, this young woman prepared 22 chairs because she believed a full table would prove she was loved. My throat tightened. Only 7 people came. My father looked down. Those 7 showed her something the other chairs never could. Mrs. Caldwell raised her glass. Family is not measured by how many people share your name. It is measured by who pulls out a chair, sits down, and stays. Everyone lifted their glasses. My father looked at me. To the daughter I should have seen sooner. I held his gaze. Then I raised my own glass. To the people learning how to see one another now. Later I stood alone on the front porch. Warm light spilled through the windows behind me. Laughter drifted from the kitchen where Leah and Elena were arguing over how to divide the leftovers. The maple leaves moved gently in the night breeze. A year earlier, I had set 22 places because I thought enough preparation could turn neglect into love. I cooked everyone's favorite food. I polished silver. I folded napkins. I waited beside the window. Only 7 people came. For a long time, I believed the empty chairs were proof that I did not matter. I understand them differently now. Sometimes the empty chairs are not the tragedy. Sometimes they are the truth. They show you who was coming for obligation, who was coming for appearances, who never intended to come at all. And they teach you to recognize the people who arrive early, carry food through your door, stay to wash the dishes, and never ask you to disappear so someone else can shine. Blood can make people relatives. Only respect makes them family. What would you have done in my place? Would you have forgiven them and returned to the old pattern? Or would you have protected the home and the dignity you built for yourself?